Empress Matilda did the unthinkable. She escaped a castle by walking through fire, a feat that would be remembered for centuries. This wasn't legend. It was a desperate act during a brutal civil war, a time when survival often meant defying the odds. Trapped in Arundel Castle, surrounded by King Stephen's forces, Matilda refused to surrender, showing her unyielding spirit. She risked everything, choosing danger over capture, showing her courage and determination in the face of overwhelming adversity. This was the Anarchy, a war that tore England apart for nearly 2 decades, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos. Matilda, named heir by her father, King Henry I, was at its center, a beacon of hope for her supporters. But when Henry died, her cousin Stephen seized the throne, igniting a fierce struggle for power. Matilda's escape from Arundel wasn't just dramatic, it kept her campaign alive, fueling her determination to reclaim her rightful place. If Stephen had caught her, her cause might have ended, and history would have taken a different turn. Instead, she inspired her followers with her boldness, becoming a symbol of resistance and hope. Matilda wasn't a passive noblewoman, she was a leader, making hard choices under pressure and commanding respect. Her walk through fire became a symbol of her life, facing impossible odds, yet always moving forward with unwavering resolve. She endured war, betrayal, and prejudice, never losing sight of her claim, and always pushing forward. Matilda's story is one of relentless resolve, a testament to her strength and determination. She was a woman fighting for a crown in a world that didn't want her to wear it, challenging the norms of her time. Her actions proved she was a force to be reckoned with, a leader who could not be easily dismissed. The fire she walked through was both literal and metaphorical, representing the many challenges she faced. Time and again, she found a way through the flames, emerging stronger each time. Matilda's journey was just beginning, a path filled with trials and triumphs. The fight for England was far from over, and Matilda's legacy was just starting to unfold. Matilda's claim to the throne came directly from her father, King Henry I, who saw in her the strength and intelligence to rule. After the tragic death of his only legitimate son in a shipwreck, Henry was left with no male heir. In a move that shocked the kingdom, he named Matilda his successor, a radical decision for the time. No woman had ever ruled England in her own right, and the idea of a reigning queen was almost unthinkable to many. To secure her succession, Henry made his barons swear loyalty to Matilda, not once but 3 separate times, hoping to bind them to his will. Even her cousin Stephen, who was close to the royal family, took the oath and pledged his support. But when Henry died, those solemn promises quickly faded into memory. The barons, uncomfortable with the idea of a female ruler, hesitated and began to waver in their loyalty. They doubted a queen could lead armies into battle or control rebellious nobles, fearing instability and foreign influence. Matilda's marriage to Geoffrey of Anjou, a powerful but controversial ally and rival to the Norman lords, only deepened their concerns and suspicions. When Henry died in 1135, Stephen broke his oath, rushed to London, and seized the throne for himself. The path that had seemed clear for Matilda was suddenly blocked by betrayal and ambition. Her right to rule was challenged not by law, but by prejudice, fear, and the ambitions of powerful men. The kingdom was thrown into chaos as rival factions vied for control and the country slid towards civil war. Matilda's fight for her birthright would become a test of will, courage, and endurance against overwhelming odds. She was determined not to let her father's promise be forgotten, nor her own claim erased by history. The struggle for the English crown was about to ignite, setting the stage for years of conflict. Matilda's claim was strong, but the world was not ready for a queen who demanded her rights. Her journey would be long, dangerous, and filled with betrayal as friends became foes and allies proved uncertain. The Anarchy, a brutal civil war, was about to begin, plunging England into years of turmoil. But Matilda would not back down. Her resolve would shape the fate of a nation. With King Henry the dead, Matilda was far from England, pregnant and unable to act quickly. Stephen of Blois seized the moment. He crossed the Channel, was welcomed in London, and took the royal treasury at Winchester. With church support and the kingdom's wealth, Stephen was crowned king within weeks. The barons who had sworn loyalty to Matilda now sided with Stephen, claiming their oaths were forced. They argued a woman couldn't rule. In medieval England, power belonged to those bold enough to take it. Stephen had the crown and the advantage. Matilda saw him as a usurper and traitor. From Normandy, she began to gather support, refusing to accept Stephen's rule. The stage was set for war. Matilda would not let her birthright be stolen without a fight. The struggle for the throne plunged England into chaos. Loyalties shifted, and the kingdom fractured. Matilda's determination only grew. The anarchy had begun. England would pay the price for broken promises. The battle for the crown was on. The war erupted first in Normandy, but Matilda understood that the true prize, the heart of the conflict, was England itself, a kingdom ripe for the taking. In 1139, she crossed the Channel and landed in England with only a small but determined force, led by her formidable half-brother, Robert of Gloucester, whose loyalty would prove crucial. Their arrival signaled a new violent phase of the anarchy, plunging the realm into years of bitter civil war. Law and order collapsed. Ambitious barons seized the moment, building illegal castles and waging private wars for their own gain. Ordinary people suffered terribly as chaos and violence spread across the countryside, their lives upended by the ambitions of the powerful. Matilda established her base in the west, while Stephen, her rival, held London in the east, dividing the kingdom in two. The war became a brutal grind of sieges, daring raids, and ever-shifting alliances, with no end in sight. Castles changed hands frequently, and loyalties were bought, sold, and betrayed as fortunes rose and fell. Matilda faced the daunting task of commanding men who doubted a woman's right to lead, challenging centuries of tradition. Her enemies whispered that she was arrogant and unfeminine, using her gender as a weapon against her. Even her closest allies hesitated, uncertain if England was ready to accept a woman as its ruler. The conflict was as much about gender and tradition as it was about power and legitimacy. Matilda's campaign became a relentless struggle for respect, recognition, and survival. She fought not just for the crown, but to prove that a woman could rule as strongly and wisely as any man. The anarchy was a test of endurance, willpower, and the very fabric of English society. England was torn apart by war and uncertainty, but Matilda pressed on, refusing to yield. Her struggle was reshaping the kingdom, altering the balance of power for generations to come. The fight for legitimacy and the right to rule was as fierce and unrelenting as any battle fought on the field. After years of stalemate, Matilda's forces won a major victory at the Battle of Lincoln in 1141. King Stephen was captured, a rare, decisive moment in the anarchy. With Stephen imprisoned, Matilda's path to the throne seemed clear. She was declared Lady of England and Normandy at Winchester Cathedral. It wasn't a coronation, but it was official recognition of her right to rule. Matilda prepared to enter London for her crowning moment. She began issuing charters and acting as monarch. The church and many nobles supported her. The capital awaited her arrival. After years of struggle, Matilda was closer than ever to becoming England's first queen. Her enemy was in chains. The crown was within reach. Victory seemed inevitable. As Matilda approached London, her triumph unraveled. Her proud, imperious manner alienated the city's citizens. She demanded heavy taxes, ignoring pleas for mercy. The Londoners, weary from war, turned against her. Bells rang out. The city rose in revolt. Matilda and her followers fled, barely escaping with their lives. Her chance at coronation vanished overnight. Stephen's wife rallied his supporters, shifting the war's momentum. Matilda's political missteps undid her military victory. She had won the war, but lost the peace. The crown slipped from her grasp. Her enemies regrouped. The struggle for England continued. Matilda's greatest opportunity was lost. After the London disaster, Matilda's fortunes worsened. Her key ally, Robert of Gloucester, was captured, forcing her to exchange Stephen for him. The war returned to stalemate. In winter 1142, Matilda was besieged in Oxford Castle, surrounded and starving. Surrender seemed inevitable, but Matilda devised a daring escape. On a snowy night, she and a few knights donned white cloaks, slipped past enemy lines, and crossed the frozen Thames. They trekked through the freezing night to safety at Wallingford Castle. Her escape became legendary, a testament to her resilience. Even when all hope seemed lost, Matilda refused to give in. She survived, and so did her cause. Her courage inspired her followers. Matilda's fight for the throne continued. She would not be broken. Her legend only grew. The war dragged on, but both sides were exhausted. Matilda's campaign suffered a final blow with the death of Robert of Gloucester. Realizing she couldn't win alone, Matilda returned to Normandy in 1148. She didn't abandon her claim, she passed it to her son Henry. Henry inherited her determination, and soon gained support in England. In 1153, Stephen and Henry agreed to the Treaty of Wallingford. Stephen would remain king, but Henry would be his heir. Matilda's persistence paid off. When Stephen died in 1154, Henry became King Henry II, founding the Plantagenet dynasty. Matilda never wore the crown, but her struggle secured it for her descendants. Her legacy was a new royal line that would rule for centuries. She turned defeat into victory for her family. Matilda's fight changed English history. She proved that perseverance could outlast even the longest war. Her son's reign was her true triumph. Matilda's story was not just about loss, it was about legacy. The crown she fought for would shape England's future. Empress Matilda never became England's crowned queen, but her impact was profound. She shattered expectations, leading armies and negotiating at the highest level. Her struggle paved the way for future queens and changed the monarchy forever. The Plantagenet dynasty she founded ruled for over 3 centuries. Every English monarch since has been her descendant. Matilda spent her later years advising her son and governing Normandy. She faced betrayal and danger with unyielding resolve. Her story is a testament to the challenges faced by women in power. Matilda came closer than any woman before her to ruling England. Her fight was not a failure, but a foundation for the future. Her legacy endures in every crown that followed.